All right. Welcome to the channel. I am the Objective Fan, straight out of Kings County, New York City's finest. And you know the vibes, man. So look, man, this is a level-headed Knicks talk episode. We're gonna do it a premiere episode. Typically I do these live, but because I'm gonna be hosting a show tonight exclusively on Brother Garfield Podcast, I'll put a link in the description. I'll be doing a weekly show over there on Thursday nights at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So level-headed Knicks talk typically will take place in the morning, but because of my schedule, I'm not able to do both. So I just wanted to, get a little pre-recorded video in, and then I'm gonna come up with a official live schedule date. But salute to y'all. Definitely. Welcome to the show. So yeah, we're gonna be talking about the Knicks and their progress this season. This is gonna be the realest breakdown ever. Now, I wanted to initially cover the Knicks every 10 games, but I just didn't get an opportunity to do it. So I've been doing it every 20 games. And this is a first half review of the season. We're gonna be going through some things. We might talk about some games. A couple of things that we're gonna look into and see where the Knicks stand. So welcome to the channel. And definitely you're gonna ride with me. This is the realest breakdown ever. Now, I do have to say, I am happy with where the Knicks are in their progression. Yes, things could be a lot better, but also things could be a lot worse. We could right now be preparing for Tom Thibodeau, his exit. You know what I'm saying? All right, we could be under 500. The trade could have came back to bite us on our butt. Thus far, we ever since we made the OG trade, what are we? We're 7-2. And because of course, this video is dropping on Thursday the 18th, so I know we also have a game tonight, and it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. Moving into the second half of the season against the Wizards, it should be another blowout. But once again, you can't take these teams too lightly. But I expect to be another blowout tonight, and maybe I might do a quick little preview. So I want to give a little in-depth breakdown here as to where we are as a team 41 games in. Right now we are 24-17. Above 500, I believe. Let me pull up the standings. I'm gonna get into research mode in a second. But according to the standings, we are currently in fifth place, tied with Miami. Right on the heels of the Cleveland Cavaliers. They're 24-15. So we're right where we want to be. A lot of executives in the league had us here, um, finishing at 5 or 4 or 5, and I think that we're gonna finish in the top four for sure. Honestly, I'm gonna keep it real. I don't care about what Philly did the other night to Denver and Jokic. I don't care. It's one game. Jokic is going to the finals. Will Philly be going to the finals? No, especially if they run against us in the playoffs. I think that we are still a better team than Philadelphia. And let's jump into research mode. I still think that we're a better team than Philadelphia, and we're right on their heels. To be honest, all of this is white noise. This Cleveland Cavaliers, Miami Heat, Indiana Pacers. Well, maybe not the Pacers because they did make a trade. I'm gonna get to that in a second. Orlando Magic, even though we lost to them, I don't think these teams are going to finish higher than us. I think we will be four. Honestly, I think we're going to be three, but I wouldn't be surprised if Philly maintains the third seed and we maintain the fourth seed. Even though I would honestly love to get that third seed. You know what I'm saying? And I love the Knicks' progress this season. I mean, it's definitely have been an interesting season. And to be fair and to be honest, this year has been better than last year. I mean, let's jump into some of the rankings and stuff like that. We'll get to the points per game and all of that stuff. Let's see. So I'm trying to see where I'm at. Yeah, this is the season stats. Okay, so these are the rankings. Right now, let's look at this here. You know what? Let me zoom in a little bit. So just to get make it a little bigger so you guys can see. Oh no, I can't go that big. Back out. All right. So I'm gonna highlight where I want you to look. So let's look at the league rankings, right? So right now, offensive rating is ninth, um, which is not the best position to be in because I believe last year we were actually fifth in offensive rating, and honestly, I could pull that up. So this was our rankings last year. We actually was third in offensive rating. Our defensive rating was terrible. So we were third in offensive rating last year and 19th in defensive rating. So we definitely improved in the defensive end, right? And then on the offensive end, we kind of dropped. So we can improve on this number because we're getting ready to go on a 10 out of 12 game homestand. So I honestly expect us to win. If I had to give a rough estimate, um, hmm, I think we can honestly win 9 out of the next 12 games. Now it's not going to be easy. You got the Lakers who may make a trade. Dallas, we owe them because they beat us. But this time they're coming to the Garden. Indiana, same thing. They beat us, but they're coming to the Garden, and we actually see them twice on this homestand. So maybe if we drop 3 or 4 of those games, if we finish this homestand, uh, let's say we finish it 8-12, that'll boost up our standings. So we'll jump up to 32 wins and 21 losses. I think that gets us in the top 3, maybe 4 for sure. So even though the teams we're playing are not going to be easy matchups, I do think we will benefit from the home stand. And when you look at our home record, we're 12-5. So and we're 50, 500 team on the road. So, but look at this differential, man. Like our differential is solid, man. That this is what I go by. So when you see these teams all together here, all bunched in together, and to be honest, I'm surprised Indiana's differential is not higher because they are the number one team in terms of scoring in the league. They add 125 points per game. So I'm honestly shocked that their differential is not higher, but they don't play no defense, so I'm kind of not that shocked. But they have ran teams out the gym, and our differential is double theirs, and all these other teams barely above five, above having a positive differential. So this is to me the measure of a good team. And if you look at the Western Conference, um, same thing. I mean, all of the top teams in the West, look at their differential. This what lets me know these teams are for real. So based off the differential, I think the Knicks are definitely trending upwards. So salute to the Knicks for sure, 100. I think now I'm gonna get into some of the grades. So we're gonna jump back over to basketball reference. So we're gonna do some of the grades. I have notes now. Oh, before I jump there, I do want to highlight this. I'm gonna go back to the record so you can see it visually. So as you can see here, the Knicks is on the screen. Right now, we're 17-1 against teams under 500. I know they say 17-0 because Utah has a winning record right now. Utah has been killing it, 22-20. But when they beat us, they were actually under 500. So we're technically 17-1 against teams under 500, right? But on the flip side, that makes us what's that? 20. So if we're 17-1 against teams, so 24 minus, so that's 7-16 against teams above 500, which is not good. That's not good. It's not a good record. That 7-16 against teams above 500 is not. It's not impressive. I think we're more than capable of beating these teams. It's just that we've seen a lot of these teams on the road. Like, I can go through it. I mean, We lost to the Bucks. How many times? We lost to the Bucks 3 times, and let's see. Well, one of the times we lost to the Bucks was in Milwaukee. The other 2 times, I think they beat us in the Garden, according to my schedule in front of me, right? Um, but then we also lost to even we lost to Utah on the road, but we lost to no, well yeah, we did lose the first game to Phoenix. We lost to the Clippers in LA. We lost at OKC. We lost at Orlando, and we lost at Indiana. So a lot of these losses that we have towards these teams that are above 500, we were on the road. So when you're a 50-50 road team or 500 road team, it's a hit or miss. It's a hit or miss, and we're killing the teams below 500 on the road, which is a important feat in my opinion. So, and if you want to go to last year's comparison, remember last year we won 47 games. So last year, in terms of at this mark, we were 22-19, and we had 4 losses to teams under 500. No blowouts, all close games. So in losing, those games last year, we had a slow start. We started the season 10-13. This year, we actually started it in the reverse, 13-10. So, we're about 2 games ahead of where we were last year. So, the Knicks, in my opinion, slight improvement, which is a good thing. Which will, in my opinion, impact the Knicks' grade, so to speak. So, let me get back to now. We're gonna look at some stats. All right, so I got the stats in front of me this year. We're gonna start with Julius Randle or Jalen Brunson. He's at the top. We'll work our way downwards. So Jalen Brunson is averaging 25.8 points a game. His Since we did the last review, because like I said, we are gonna look at the last 20 games in terms of performance. I'm weighing that higher. So he's averaging about 1.2 points more. His shooting is pretty much the same. So he's giving us more scoring, and his assist is amazing too, 6.4 assists. So I honestly looked for Jalen Brunson to improve his rating last year. Well, the last time we did this video, not last year, I gave him a B plus. This time around, I'm giving him an A. So salute to Jalen Brunson. Salute to Jalen Brunson, man, for getting an A. I think that he's worked his way into becoming an all-star. If we want, we can do a deep dive into Jalen Brunson. Why not? We got time. So salute to you if you're still watching the video at this point. This is going to be a little lengthy video because typically this is a live. And please let me know your commentary in the comment section below because I really want to know how you feel. And just, keep it 100% real with me. Am I tripping? But I think Jalen Brunson's an A. And I want to go to his game logs and we could see exactly what he's doing. So he didn't play against Orlando and Memphis. They didn't update the Houston game just yet. But 30, 12. Okay, this is his one bad game against Portland. But we won the game, so I don't really care about individual performances and losing efforts. But we won the game, so same thing could be said. Same thing could be said. As long as we win the game, I don't care if you have 12. But then 33, 29, 31. Then he had a 16-point game against Minnesota. But guess what? We won the game, and it was a blowout. Both these games were blowouts, by the way. So 28, 20. The kid, he's hooping, man. And he needs to be an all-star. And I think the NBA is going to get it right. There's been a lot of noise. He was selected for some sort of documentary, Jalen Brunson. I talked about it in the podcast. Go watch the podcast. I don't want to rehash things I already talked about. But this week inside the New York Knicks, episode 10. You can watch that. It's exclusively on the channel. Comes out every Monday at around 10 o'clock. So I talked a little bit about that. So Jalen Brunson stepping up his profile. He also got two commercials, a Dunkin' Donuts commercial and then another betting commercial. Now I don't know if these are just New York commercials because I see them mostly on MSG. So it could be a New York thing, regional thing, but still we got to give him his props, man. So salute to Jalen Brunson for doing the thing. Salute to Jay. So that's why I give him an A. I mean, his play, in my opinion, has just been spectacular. He's been Mr. Reliable. He looks like he's the best player on the floor. Even though I still feel like Randle is kind of like the best player. And to be honest, it's like 1A and 1B because both of them are needed to get things going. Like, even if we want to look at last night's game, I'll jump into it real quick. Why not? We got time. When we look into last night's game against the Rockets, you know, both of these guys had 30. They both were cooking. And and in order to get the job done, you needed the two of them. Like there is no Brunson is the number one guy and he has to go first. No, it's whoever has the hot hand, that's who we're going with. And as you can see, Randall 31 and 8 with 4 assists, and Brunson with 30 and 7. You know, Anunoby had 15. He had a solid third quarter. That's where he got the majority of his buckets, and he really played. He had one good play where he locked down Sengun, and that was a nice play. But I'll get more into OG when I get to him. But my point is that Julius Randle and Jalen Brunson definitely are 1A, 1B. It's hard for me to pick one over the other. We need both of them to be efficient for us to get going. So I'm giving Jalen Brunson an A. Julius Randle, he's next on the list. So I'll come back to this game stuff. So I'm gonna leave it up there. So we're gonna go to Julius Randle. So Randle right now, he's definitely stepped up his game. He's averaging two more points than he did early in the season. Got his average back up to 24. He averaged around 24, 25 last year. So he's getting his numbers back to where they belong. His rebound numbers is down a little bit overall in terms of the season. But he still at 9 rebounds a game, which is pretty impressive. Now, the one knock on Julius Randle, in my opinion, is his 3-point percentage, though he is taking less threes. So, like, if we want to, what we can do is we'll go to the previous season. So we can look at Julius Randle's shooting percentages, right? So last year he was shooting 34% on 2 of 8 attempts, right? So that's last year. So hold that thought, right? So we're gonna go to this season now, and if you go to this year, he's shooting 28% on one with 1.5 attempts out of 5.3. So he's taking 3 less threes, and his percentages is down. Typically, when you take less threes, your percentages are supposed to go up, but his field goal percentage is solid at 46%. That's where you want him to be. His 2-point percentage is 54.1. Real quickly, I hit the back button. I'm just curious to see what his percentages again was last year, so we can make a direct comparison. So his field goal percentage is up slightly from his at 45 is up to 46.7 now. And now his 2-point percentage is around the same. So yeah, Julius Randle is stepping his game up. He's stepping his game up. The only knock on his game and what honestly hurts his grade, in my opinion, is the 3-point percentage. Right? Now, because Randle stepped up his overall game, and his impact on the team's success in terms of winning has definitely felt, and we couldn't done what we're doing without him. In fact, before we even grade Julius Randle, I want to pull up his game logs. So we're gonna pull up Julius Randle's game logs because I just want to show you. See, I can show you better than I could tell you. That's why on this show we actually get into research mode, make me smaller, salute, and put the content on the table so we can actually see what's going on with these guys in real time. So that way I'm not just talking and just making things up. I can be as accurate as I can be. So look, when we go to Julius Randle's game logs, right? So once again, they don't got the Houston game up. This Orlando game, now I actually did a poll on the channel. I'll talk more about what the fans think on the podcast. So definitely check that out this week inside the New York Knicks podcast, like I said earlier, on Mondays. But in this Orlando game, I asked a question and people gave their takes, but a lot of times people want to downgrade Julius Randle and say, well, it's his fault that we lost because he's the best player on the team, which he was in this game because Brunson wasn't there. So it's his fault we lost. I don't do that. I say you win as a team, you lose as a team. No one man gets the credit. Now, you do give star players more of the responsibility because they are the best players on the team. So yeah, you get more of the blame. I'm cool with that. But to put it all on Randle as if it's just his fault, I'm not down with that. So yeah, that Orlando game is definitely a demerit on his record, right? But before that, he had 24 in a win against Memphis. Now this game was a weird game. No Jalen Brunson. He was getting triple team, but he still managed to put up 24. Yeah, I know you're going to tell me, oh, but what about the 6 turnovers? He still put up 24 and 11 and 5, and he was doing the best he can with a triple team against some guys that we never heard of because Memphis' entire team pretty much was hurt. Now, Dallas, he had 32 in a losing effort. That was a tough game. We should have won that game. They didn't have their best player, but he came to play that game, 32. So yeah, 39 points against Washington. I mean, once again, I expect him to do that again because Washington don't have a guy that could defend them. And that Avnia dude from Washington was talking a lot of smack. Oh, he can't do this, can't do that. Then he had 8 points against Philly, but didn't matter. We won the game. So I don't care about him not producing in a winning effort, especially with blowout against Philadelphia, one of our dislikable rivals. Now, 35 against Chicago, 39 against Minnesota, in another blowout winning effort against a good team, the best team in the West, 28 in the loss. So I'm going to stop there, but Julius Randle has stepped up his play during this first half of the season in the last 20 games because that's really what we're highlighting. So I'm personally going to give Julius Randle an A minus. Salute to Julius Randle for the A minus. Now, it would have been an A, but Jalen Brunson got an A because his game, his numbers are impeccable, and the next level for Jalen Brunson is an A plus, which maybe he can get if he really takes his game up another notch. But for me to give Randle an A, he needs to get his 3-point percentage in the next 20 games. Let's get it up to 32%, 31%. He does that, I give him an A because he's been solid. Now, OG hasn't played too many games, but we're going to talk a little bit about OG. Salute to OG. And while I'm talking about OG Anunoby, what we'll do is we'll talk about the trade as well. Now, a lot of people have had some issues with the trades. A lot of people like the trade. A lot of people don't know how to feel. Now, people are becoming more warm to the trade because we're winning games. And, winning cures everything. So the trade, I mean, and their record is 7-2. You can't deny that. You can't deny that. I'm not sure what Toronto's record is. I don't care about Toronto. I don't care if RJ, because Quickley and RJ, they were blowing out Miami last time I checked. I didn't really get the final score yet. I don't care. This is a Knick review. So salute to them, Hopefully they doing their thing, We from Kings County. There's no hate over here. We spread love. That's the Brooklyn way. You know that. But at the same time, from our end, it's hard to knock the trade when OG's plus minus. I mean, all right, since we're here, let's pull up OG's numbers. Just so we can get an idea. I didn't want to do that. We're going to pull up his numbers just so we can get an idea of his impact, okay? So So when you go to the game logs, all right, we're going to stick to the New Yorks. I don't care about what he did in Toronto. He's a Knick. That's all that matters. Now, the Dallas game and the Orlando game, and honestly, I can pull up the. So he was plus 24. Okay, cool. So I'm going to go back to OG's game logs. He's only had 2 games with a negative plus minus, which is the 2 losses. And to be honest, plus minus is a team stat. But it's also important to note that he's also a factor on the floor as well. So he's not just a guy that's out there running with the team. He's actually somebody who's a premier defender. He guards the best players on the other team. And he's been doing a fantastic, phenomenal job. So his plus minus was on a record-setting pace. I mean, he set records for the most highest plus minus and wins in a new game, for a player that's joining a new team. So you gotta give that man a round of applause. So getting back to the trade, here was my gripe with the trade, and it still might be my gripe with the trade, depending on how the season finishes, right? So my gripe with the OG trade, and honestly, you know what? I'm going to do a video as to the real reason why RJ Barrett was traded. I hope you RJ fans are ready for this. I'm going to be dropping the science on why that man was traded. Now, I am the objective Knicks fan with the emphasis, a heavy emphasis on objectivity, right? Heavy emphasis on that because a lot of times people, they, fall in love with the players and they become man fans. And to be honest, there's nothing wrong with that. That's just not me. I support players. I have players that I admire their games. Like Melo, I was a huge Melo guy when Melo was with the Knicks. The last time I honestly could say I was a real fan of a player, a little bit of Marbury, because he's straight out of that Kings County. Salute to Marbury. Once a Knick, always a Knick. But when you from that Kings County, right? Melo, definitely, he from the Kings County too. Salute to Carmelo Anthony. I don't care. He's from Kings County too. When you from up out of there, man, you high on my list. You know what I'm saying? But Ewing is the real last player I was a real big fan over. And to be honest, I was younger then. A tear almost fell out my eye when they traded Ewing, man. And from that point on, that's what I said, you know what? I'm done with the player worship. I don't worship players because they come and go. They come and go. So my gripe with the trade wasn't that I like all the players. I like Quickley. I like RJ. And I support them because they're Knicks. And I even support RJ a little bit more because he's from Duke. And I'm a Duke Blue Devils fan. Shout out to the Duke Blue Devils. I know some of y'all don't like that. I don't care. It's my only team outside of New York I rock with. So it's not because I'm a fan of these guys and I'm like, oh no, you shouldn't trade them. Because, these are our young guys and we gotta like it and we gotta stay with these guys. No. I felt like, and I did a video on the Quickley trade already, 2 months before the trade happened. I knew Quickley was getting traded. Didn't take a rocket scientist to see that. But RJ was a little more difficult to stomach because you could have used one of those guys in another trade. Seriously, you could have used so when the rumor came out that Atlanta just wanted Quickley and picks, oh my God. When that came out, I was like, yo, we could have had DeJounte Murray. But I know Canada, Toronto, they was trying to fleece us. They were trying to fleece us. And because Leon Rose and the staff knew that Quickley was not going to be able to rejoin the team because of his desires to be a starter and to get paid more money than they were willing to give, Quickley had to go. So the thought is, realistically, we were going to lose Quickley anyway. So let's add him to the RJ deal. And like I said, I'm going to jump into the real reason why RJ was traded a little later. That's my only issue with the trade, is because I feel like you could have used Quickley to get Murray. Could you imagine you get OG and Murray? Am I wrong? Please let me know in the comments. Am I tripping for that? I really wanted Murray and OG. Could you imagine that starting on the five? And then when Mitch get back, this is the best defensive team in basketball. You talk about, man, hold on, before we get back to OG, you talk about these rankings right here. Hold on, let me scroll up. I'm gonna show you what I'm talking about. You talk about these rankings right here. This defensive rating going to number one with that lineup. And I'm not saying it can't go to number one with Mitch and OG and Hartenstein. I'm not saying it can't, but you add the Donte Murray, this defensive rating is going to number one. Now, OG has done an amazing job, because here's the key thing to the Knicks that a lot of you guys have to understand. I might have said this on the podcast. The Knicks have a whole bunch of players that don't need the ball to be effective, that actually, if they're not shooting well, they still will have a positive impact on the game. The perfect example, we're going to get to Josh Hart. He's the perfect example of that. He hasn't been shooting good at all, but he stays on the floor because he does other things besides scoring that is truly viable to the Knicks. So OG Anunoby, that's his value. That's what makes him special, is the fact that he can go disappear for 2 quarters like he did in this game against the Rockets. He literally was a non-factor on the offensive end. And then 1 quarter he puts up like 8 or 10 in the quarter. And he has that sneaky, by the time you look up, I already got 3 layups and a corner 3. That's his game. So right now, it's looking like, at least in the short term, the Knicks won the trade. Though the Raptors are not mad. Because let me just say this about the trade. Both teams won the trade. Both teams could win the trade. You have trades where both teams come out on top. Why can't this be the case? So I can't grade the trade right now, because I think I need to see more, because I'm thinking this trade will lead to another trade, and that counts. So I don't want to grade the trade, but I will grade OG, even though we only have 8 games. Right? How many games we got, OG? Yeah, we got 7. I'm sorry, we got 9 games. I'm looking at Basketball Reference. It's showing as 8 games because they don't have the Houston game counted yet. In these 9 games with OG, I am giving OG a B. I think he's solid, and I think he's helping us on the defensive end to improve on our defensive stats and things of that nature. He's a hustler. He's a workhorse. Um, this is his game logs here. He's averaging. Well, I don't care about the. Let me see if I can get a Knick average. Hold on. Because I don't care about his Toronto stats. His Toronto stats don't help us with anything now, because he's in a complete different role. So in the Knicks, it's about the same. 14.5 points, about 5 rebounds. So he's giving you more rebounds than RJ. And 14.5 points. And he's shooting 40% from downtown. 41% from down, or 42 if you want to round up 10, if you want to use the 10th decimal. He's averaging 42% from downtown. Okay, that's not bad. He's shooting 50% from the field. It's not bad. So I give him a B. Let's go over to Hartenstein, man. Even though there's some guys on my list, I'm gonna go with Hartenstein. Now, Hartenstein is he's an animal. I actually have him written down in my notes. I have to make sure I tell you this. Isaiah Hartenstein is an animal. And I'm not saying that in a bad way. Okay? I'm saying it in a great way. He's a beast on the boards. He's a beast on the defensive end. And he's a non-liability, sort of like a playmaking big on the offensive end. Eh, The guy has no weaknesses, yo. He he honestly played his way into a big. I put it like this: he can literally not play another game this year. He might have played himself into a $20 million a year contract. Karan, what do you mean $20 million a year? I'm telling you, $20 million a year contract. Isaiah Hartenstein. Big up to Isaiah Hartenstein. Now we're gonna get into these game logs. I'm gonna warn you. It's a fair warning. Now his points are up slightly because he's not in there for. He's not out there for points. He's out there to rebound and defend. He's out. That's what he's out there for. So earlier in the year, Isaiah Hartenstein, right? He was averaging. Let me see if I got his points. We'll get to my old notes. He was averaging about. Why am I not seeing his points? Okay, he was averaging 5.7 points, so his points went up slightly, like I said, and his rebounds was 5.7. 5.7 rebounds off the bench. That's great numbers for a guy coming off the bench. He went from 5.7 rebounds to 8.3 rebounds. The man is a beast. So I don't have. I wish I had his averages for the last like 20 games because I guarantee is way over 10 rebounds. But we're gonna look at these game logs. Okay. Now, this is honestly his scoring. 7 points. Let me see what he had tonight against the Rockets. Tonight against the Rockets, he had 7 points, right? So he's giving you about 7 a game. 7 points. 12 points against Memphis, right? Solid. Just purely solid. Purely solid. And he even has the 3 ball in his arsenal, but you'll never see it because he's playing the Mitch Robinson style, right? 8 points, not 5, 8, 17 against Philly, against Joel Embiid. Even though Embiid had his 30 and 10, Hartenstein put up 17 on Joel Embiid. That's pretty solid. But let's look at these rebounds. That's what we really want to see from Isaiah Hartenstein. So he had 12 rebounds against Orlando. And against Houston, which was last night's game, he had 11 rebounds, right? So 7, 12, okay? No, I'm looking at points, sorry. 12 rebounds, 20 rebounds. He tied his career high against Memphis. 15 rebounds against Dallas. 14 rebounds against Portland. 19 rebounds against Washington. This is what it means to smash a team. And I expect him to do the same again tonight. 6 rebounds, right? Against Embiid, but it don't matter. That was a blowout win. 20 rebounds before that. That's when he established his career high against Chicago. The man is just amazing. What more can I say about Isaiah Hartenstein? He played his way into a contract. And unfortunately, because of that, the Knicks might lose him. Sorry. He might be bye-bye. Because he's just too amazing to be coming off the bench and not get paid. So you can have him come off the bench like a Nas Reed, but you're gonna have to pay him. And if I had to give Isaiah Hartenstein a grade, I gave him last time around a B+. I'm giving that man an A. Isaiah Hartenstein is a big fat A. Let me make sure I write it down because I don't have it here. I don't know why. That man is an A. Honestly, he keeps this up, he might be the only player to get an A plus. Because honestly, I don't think I give out A pluses. A plus is like elite level production. He continues this production, he might honestly be the A plus out of the group. Now, let's continue with the player rankings. And now I'm gonna jump into the Indiana trade. I have to talk about that trade and how that's going to impact us just for a little bit and what it could mean. I actually posted on this earlier on my Facebook page, not the Objective Knicks fan page, my Karan Pierre Facebook page. You can get at me on there too. I talk more than just Knicks on that channel. But we're gonna move. We're gonna jump to Donte DiVincenzo. Now, let me tell you something. Donte DiVincenzo, man, is amazing. He's another guy, one of those bench guys. So, do you realize what has happened? We went from having the best bench in basketball to now this bench is like a reconstruction bench because two of our guys that were real threats are now starters. So the bench took a big hit. Took a big hit. Knicks got to make a move. For who? I don't know. But they got to make a move because we need to get our bench in order. Now, Donte has stepped everything up. I mean, you going from the bench, just like Isaiah Hartenstein. When you're going from the bench to the start lineup, it and you're actually producing, your numbers are just gonna blow up. So Donte was averaging 8.2 off the bench. Now imagine we had Quickley averaging about 15 off the bench. Donte was averaging 9.2, not that Josh Hart was the 8.2. So you had Quickley and Donte DiVincenzo, just those two giving you 24 points off the bench. If you want to look at the bench now, let's look at the averages of the guys coming off the bench. So you have Precious Anunoby, who I'm not going to grade because he hasn't really played much. He's giving you about 3 points a game. Evan Fournier, I'm not counting him because he only played 2 games. And he's not a part of the rotation. I'm not going to grade him, to be fair to him. Quentin Grimes, so you have Precious Anunoby giving you 3. Quentin Grimes is giving you 6.9. And Deuce McBride is giving you 4.5. That's your bench. They're not even, if you add those guys up, so that's Miles McBride with 4.5. Add him with Grimes, that's about, let's round it up. So that's 7 plus 5, that's 12 points. Precious Anunoby is giving you 3, right? And who else? Precious Anunoby, and then Josh Hart is giving you 8, right? Or 7. 7.2. Josh Hart's giving you 7.2. So that's honestly less. That's about what, 21 points or something like that? That's less than just what Donte and Quickley was giving you. So Donte DiVincenzo definitely stepped everything up. His 3-point percentage, I mean, his 3-point percentage is 48%. His 2-point percentage 46%, right? He was shooting before at 42% clip, which is still good. So his numbers, he maintained his 3-point shooting numbers, but his scoring is up. He's averaging about 3 more points than he did off the bench, and it's probably going to go up more as he gets more opportunities. Donte DiVincenzo really stepped up his game. Honestly, if I had to give my man Donte a grade, he's definitely getting a B plus. He's up now to a B plus from a B. I'm giving him a plus, and it could go up to A minus. The man is really hooping. I love Donte, and I skipped Josh Hart. We're gonna get to Josh Hart next. Josh Hart, I love Josh Hart because for him, it's not about scoring, but it needs to be more about scoring. Right now, he is the consensus leading scorer off the bench at a whopping 7.2. So Josh Hart is going to have to really, if he can't score more, he's definitely going to have to get his rebounds up because it's down from last year. He's at 6.2. Last year he was around 7.8. Um, he's going to have to get those numbers up. But then the real number that he really is going to have to really improve is the 32.4% from downtown, which is not RJ Barrett level bad, but it is not effective. Um, he's really gonna have to step up that 3-point percentage. I mean, let's pull up Josh Hart's game logs just to give a little quick recap of what he's actually producing. So we're gonna pull it up, and salute to Josh Hart, man. He's still hustling. He's still he's still hustling, and to be fair, he's out of position though. Now with OG there, he's kind of playing on position because OG can guard a lot of those bigger guys. Um, but I mean, he had 13 rebounds, I think, 14 rebounds against Houston, so 10 and 14. So still not knocking down the three ball, but he was 5 of 11 from the field, plus 10, plus minus. So salute to Josh Hart. But when you look at his production against Orlando, he was shooting 28% from the field, just 4 points, 6 rebounds, 7 rebounds, 4 rebounds, 7 rebounds. He needs to be more consistent on the glass. Though the 7 rebounds are not bad. If he's getting 7 rebounds, I could live with that.